Hi everybody, today we'll be unboxing the MSI Gaming X Trio RTX 2080 graphics card. This thing actually just arrived a few minutes ago, and I'm quite excited to actually open the box and take a look at this big bad card. So basically this card is factory overclocked, a bit higher than that of the Founders Edition version of this graphics card. And for you guys that are unaware, it is actually clocked at 1860 megahertz boost clock, which is quite high. And just for kind of comparison, the Founders Edition is overclocked already to 1800, so this has a 60 megahertz gain over that. So this thing has a very beefy cooler that is rated around 2.75 slots, and be aware that it is also 13 inches in length, so if you have a medium-sized case, this will not likely fit inside it. With that said though, let's just go ahead and take a look at the box a bit before we open it up so you can get a good look at the back. It doesn't really state the specifications all that much on it. It does highlight that it uses their new Torx 3.0 fans, which they've never used before, so they are quite new. They have a bit of grooves on them. Every other fan is made different basically. And it has very well RGB lighting on it, probably the best of the RTX cards in my personal opinion, at least out at the moment. And you can see it, and you have to use their Mystic Light software to control that. So yeah, it is quite nice, and maybe I'll go over more details throughout the unboxing, but let's go ahead and open this up. Alright, so this is quite exciting, as I have been waiting very long for this card. I've had this thing pre-ordered now since release, or since launch. Alright, so we're just going to open this up now. So as you can see, everything is out of the box. And pull off this right there. And now we have what seems like a black MSI envelope, which is quite nice. And we'll see what's inside that first. So let me just pull the contents of this out. Okay, so I'll flip this over. So we have a disk, which usually contains drivers and any other software provided by MSI, so it might contain Afterburner, which is really good software by MSI and some other stuff. Next we have a booklet. It says MSI Graphics Card Quick User Guide. I believe discusses, yeah, it looks like it has installation, system requirements, it has some picture diagrams on that. Next we have this sheet right here which says installation guide. So I may have been mistaken, this might just be warnings, warranty information, and requirements. This itself goes about installation into your PCIe slot on your motherboard. Next we have Lucky the Dragon Computer Workshop. It's quite nice. I was actually hoping, although they haven't, I was hoping they would include one of those little plush stuffed animal dragons, MSI dragon things. That would have been a nice touch, but it looks like it has a comic book, which is, yeah, that's kind of nice. A little comic book of the MSI Computer Workshop. So that is very interesting. Actually, pulling that back up, you can see they have their last generation Gaming X style, which was their MSI 1080 Ti Gaming X. This is cardboard. That's like cutouts. You can pull these out. It looks like there might be coasters for drinks or something. Yeah, it's quite nice though. I mean, they didn't have to include it, so it's a nice little goodie bag. And then there is a thank you note, which is really nice. So thank you for choosing a MSI product. So now we have a brace, which they've included because, as you might be able to notice right here, this GPU is huge. So that is not something to really kind of look past. So you might not necessarily need it if you have reinforced steel PCIe slots, which on the newer higher end motherboards they have. But they included this nice, and it's quite hefty, bracket, or brace rather, that you put into the back of the case, the slot below the graphics card, and it sits like on this basically, so this helps support it basically from the bottom. And it, I'll be honest, doesn't look the best. Some people like it. I personally think it could be better because they've added these red accents, which I don't necessarily mind when they add color, but a lot of people do. But anyhow, it is nice to have this at all. I'm really happy they included this because otherwise I would have probably purchased an aftermarket one. We also have this cable, which I'm not going to open, but basically what it is a a 6 converter to an 8 converter pin for the power input on the graphics card. So this particular one, being the 2080, it actually includes two 8-pin connectors, where by the Founders Edition and the other reference PCB cards, it includes the 6-pin plus an 8-pin. So if your power supply unit only has one 8-pin and one 6-pin, or for whatever reason you're using your other 8 pins, you can actually plug this into the 6-pin, and then it will convert it to the 8-pin power supply that you need. So now let's get to the beast itself. So as you can see, this is the last thing left. It is massive. I really do not want to really kind of undersell that there. It is huge, and it feels heavy. It's nice. So I'm just gonna take this, put this aside. I'm gonna set this on the table for a moment. Figure out where the okay. So pull this up. So this cover that it's in now, as you can see, which is usually on motherboards as well, it's an anti-static. So you do have to generally be careful with PC components. This should be fine pulling this out, but if you're touching the board directly, usually it's a good idea to be cautious of any static electricity, because it could shock the board and break it. In this case though, I wouldn't be worried at all. So there we have the large graphics card. As you can see, this thing is probably as big as they get. I don't think I've ever seen a graphics card larger than this one. It smells fresh and new. So these are the Torx 3.0 fans. You can see the grooves on them. They're different every other one. You have a label on here that you have to take off before you put it in your computer. It's just telling you basically that this is zero fissure, which is basically MSI's label or terminology for the fans stop until they're really needed. So as MSI put it, it's basically cooling on demand. A lot of other manufacturers, to be honest, have that these days, but MSI, from my knowledge, has done it early on, or first even. So it has this nice MSI like kind of scaling that usually is on their other cards as well. And yeah, very nice design. So as you'll see, one fan is actually smaller, and these two are larger. If I'm not mistaken, I think these are 100mm fans, and this one's either 80 or 90. So the reason for that is because they have this bracket right here that you can unscrew, and it even shows it on the sticker. Basically, if you ever plan to use NVLink, which is NVIDIA's new SLI format, then you're obviously going to need to use this kind of hard device that they supply. It's not a wire like it used to be for SLI. So basically, if they had put the fan right there, it would block the NVLink. So you can actually detach that with 2 screws, and you'll be able to just plug your NVLink in there. And to be honest, there's not any repercussions of having this fan smaller, because the way it's designed is the heatsink actually does not expand outward anyway. So this fan perfectly covers the heatsink as it needs to. Alright, so let's take a look at the back, and then we'll look at the sides after. So this was one of the major selling points, in my opinion, is they had an absolutely stunning, beautifully aesthetic design on the back plate, which is a brushed gunmetal gray, very nice, hefty backplate, which also actually serves as cooling potential. Between the backplate and the PCB itself, it has thermal pads, and quite thick thermal pads, mind you, that dissipate the heat from the back of the PCB to the backplate. So it is very nice design, absolutely stunning. So let's go ahead and take a look at the sides now. So I'm going to flip this thing back over, and we'll look at it again. So first, let's look at this. This is where the heat pipes are. Now, don't be alarmed. There's actually more heat pipes within the card itself. There's anywhere from 6 to 7. Some say 6, but I've counted 7 personally. But on the back here, you can see 5 endpoints, but there actually is upward of 7 in there, and they're very thick heat pipes, high quality at that. So something I did not mention previously as well, we're not going to be taking this apart. But the highlights of the customized PCB that this board has, because it does have a custom PCB, is this has 2 extra power phases. So if you're not aware what power phases do, basically they allow you to add more voltage and more power to the board to have higher clock rates and more consistent clock rates when the GPU Boost 4.0 kicks in, or if you're doing overclocking. So naturally, by default, the other cards have, with the reference PCB, an 8+2 design, which I guess could be called 10 power phases. But this particular one has 2 extra ones, so that is a 10+2 or 12 power phases. So you can see here, this is what you're going to see if you look inside your case, if you have a plastic or glass design on the case that allows you to look inward in your case and look at it. But basically, this is all RGB. So everything that looks clear at the moment is RGB, which you can change the colors for or have it multicolor, and you can have it do multiple things like pulsating, flashing, solid colors, rainbow colors. You can do a whole lot with that. And it has a nice dragon logo right there. It says MSI. Obviously, you can read GeForce RTX. Well, there we have it, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do like and subscribe. Until next time.